8:02 Central African Time. Hello, Guyan and Sunny Ponani. Welcome to the Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve. Welcome to Montreal, Canada. It is the sixth installment of this BrakeAway Tier 1 season. My name is Bob O'Connor. I will be with you here throughout proceedings. As you can see, we have a slightly reduced field here tonight. We do expect one or perhaps a couple more drivers to join us by the time the race actually begins. But we look forward to a beautiful qualifying session. Of course, the weather might yet play a significant role, but we would always see that once we get a sense of how the drivers look in the garages just before they come out. 4.3 kilometer circuit, a favorite of a lot of the drivers. It's a fast, low downforce circuit. The track is, quite stop-start at certain points, and it does have a fair amount of heavy braking chicanes and a very famous hairpin at turn 10. And it is after that hairpin in the long run towards the final chicane of turns 13 and 14 that we can expect drivers to exploit overtaking opportunities. It is at that point of the track, of course, where there is another DRS straight. Beautiful sunny day here in Montreal. Tapiso has just joined the fray, so we will get a sense of how his race will fare here. No Don Rabico. He's not racing here today. The championship leader. Perhaps some of you might even say champion-elect, since there's been a huge shift in Team Mercedes. As you can see, represented here in the sixth spot on our graphic is none other than Grimjaw, who was leading proceedings in Tier 2, and Grimjaw is now Don Rabico's new teammate. Don Rabico is in the comments. It's good to see him. He says he's taking a break here today. Well, I can tell you what, Don Rabico can afford to take a break. Mercurial Caesar has opted to leave the league. It was a very entertaining battle that they were serving up at Mercedes, as Tindo also joins the fray to make it a 14th driver here that we will see. Oh, this is Mandla, who is buzzing after a very, very good day in the previous race back in Spain. Mandla claiming his first points of the season, finished 7th in Spain, did Mandla, and now has 6 championship points. It was a nightmare season for the veteran Tier 1 driver, who found himself collecting DNFs. DNF'd in each of the 4 races, China, Saudi Arabia, Baku, and Qatar. But it was, of course, a good day out in Spain. So Mandla will be the first driver out to show us what it feels like to take a tour around this circuit. Sir Lancelot, hello. It's good to have you in the comment section, as well as Billy Hendricks, who says, let's go racing. We will do exactly that. As well as Billy Hendricks, who says, let's go racing. We will do exactly that. As well as Billy Hendricks, who says, let's go racing. This is Mandla into the first chicane, which is unforgiving, already invalidated, so that lap will not count. As quickly as that, it is a track which really does not give too many second chances. How will Man Ray fare? That was 1. This is turn 2. The longer right-hander. Here he comes now. Man Ray in the other half will be the first to set a representative time. Much better navigation of that first chicane. Turns 3 and 4 respectively. And he comes now. A little bit heavy into the curve there, but he's managed to keep it running. Slight glitchy network. We see his car bouncing to the left and right ever so slightly. And Man Ray comes unstuck, and he absolutely has to pray to the heavens that he could catch that car. He did eventually. And, well, thankfully, he will live to fight another day and to give it another proper push and proper run. Meanwhile, Tapiso is out here on track, already going through turn number 10. That is the hairpin, and we'll send it screaming all the way down to the final chicane, turns 13 and 14. In front of Tapiso is none other than teammate Zotal, who's only now completing their outlap. This is the final chicane that Tapiso has navigated cleanly. And here he comes now to set the first representative time, a 1 minute 12.004 for the Ferrari driver. Bankobi still in the pits. Same case for Django, Loveness, Stage Figure of Speech, and Teppo Temba. Billy Hendricks predicts that only 9 drivers will cross the finish line. He expects a few amount of DNFs before all is said and done around this circuit. Debo Crocodile is out on track, now making his way through turn 10, and will send it hurtling and screaming towards the final chicane of turns 13 and 14. There was a yellow flag which has since been cleared. Here comes Debo Crocodile. Crosses the line for the second quickest time, 1:12.923. Meanwhile, Mambla had managed to put a lap together. His best is a 1:13.084. Well, good news for Mandla there, who is in good spirits, having finally collected points last time out. Meanwhile, Tier 1 debutant Grimjaw not having such a great day. It's a first push lap invalidation for them. What can he do? We've seen what kind of pace he carried when he dominated his appearances in the playoffs just before we came into this season. He's since been promoted up to the top tier, courtesy of Mercurial Caesar's abdication, if you will, of the second place in the championship and indeed the Mercedes seat. And Grimjaw will be one to watch very, very carefully. Meanwhile, for Red Bull, Stage Figure of Speech, what can they do? Where is the 86er, we wonder? Not racing here today, of course. That 86er was in another part of South Africa for the Lurie Awards this past week, so we could not see him. But perhaps 86er might be joining in due time. 20.392 seconds is the Stage Figure of Speech Sector 1 split. So we'll see how competitive that is. Might yet trouble the likes of Tindo. Tabo T92 is the first driver to breach into the 1 minute 11 to 11.961 for the McLaren driver. Sun Hashira says, whatever you can do, I can do better. Sun Hashira is currently rock bottom of the standings, 0 points. Zotal goes quicker with a 111.231. Sun Hashira, as I was mentioning, well, his 0 points has largely been contributed to the fact that he has not raced that much. So he's here today. What can he do? It is an unforgiving circuit as far as track limits and potential coming together are concerned. Stage Figure of Speech was on the margin there, potentially risking an invalidation towards the final corner, but he crosses the line with a 1 minute 13.145, which at this point is good enough only for P9. 14 drivers currently on the track, including Tindo. So there's no risk here of getting knocked out. Of course, there's no full quali here. It's only just a short quali, so there is all the risk, I beg your pardon, of getting knocked down the starting grid. So if you're new to Formula One, the aim of qualifying is very, very simple. You go around the track as fast as you possibly can. The faster you go, the higher up your starting position will be, as you can currently see. Zotal currently leads those stakes with that 111.231, with just over 10 minutes of this session to go. Sun Hashira is second. Debo Crocodile has gone for another push lap, and his current best is a 111.867. Good looking for the Aston Martin driver. Tabo T92 is still in the pits, but preparing to come out. His best is only good enough for P4. Tapiso making the way around once again. And he's found about just over a tenth worth of improvements come the end of Sector 2. It's now or never for Tapiso. to put together a clean third and final sector. C-Clay has joined us in the comment section, asking Don Radical, hey, do you want a reserve driver or not? Don says he's taking a break. Tapiso says, I am taking a couple of tenths worth of improvement. 111.734 moves the Ferrari driver up to P3. Zotal, Tapiso looking very, very comfortable in these conditions here in Canada. Welcome to Montreal if you've just joined us. It is the sixth race of our top tier season, as we've just seen a very, very fast moving Alpine, presumably being that of Tindo. Where is Mex, I do wonder? Nintendo Wii would be out in the comment section had Mex been available and really, really pushing. Tapiso, perhaps we'll be happy with that. Perhaps might be looking for even more improvement. Loveness is here representing Team AlphaTauri. Their teammate Inkawako Giwax not able to race here in Canada tonight. What can Loveness do for AlphaTauri? Well, the answer is go slightly off the line through the first chicane. 20.395 regardless. There come the end of Sector 1. So it is in the ballpark of the Sector 1 split that Sid Figure's speech put in a little bit earlier. There comes now second chicane. That was turns 8 and 9. Will now send it screaming towards the hairpin of 10. 43.433 is that Sector 2 split. There's a very wide Ferrari there. It is Tapiso. And no, Zotal's been disqualified from the session for blocking the pit lane. What in the world is going on there? Zotal, who had set the quickest time, gets knocked completely out of the reckoning. Now down and out. Seppo Temba becomes our first retiree, perhaps simply by crashing out. Here comes Loveness towards the line. It'll be a 112.675. Good enough for a P5 for Loveness. Well. Jelena Noble, a.k.a. Shakes, asking Don if he's a little scared of this track. Of course, Don has been explaining to all comers that he's taking a break, not feeling too well. Do hope he feels better. Someone who is feeling very, very good, to quote a James Brown lyric, is Grimjaw. The debutante of the top tier sets the timing sheets absolutely alight with a time that almost breaches into the 1 minute 10 seconds. Grimjaw grinning from ear to ear. Now with the quickest time. Smirch Django joins the fray with a time within 5/100ths of a second. Now P2 is the McLaren driver. So he came out late, the Smirch Django, and just set the second quickest time. The 86er is here to stake their claim on a potential scorching effort. This is Van Kobe for Team Williams. Here it comes now towards the end of Sector 1. 19.898 is certainly among the quicker times that we've seen in our onboards. Oh, Van Kobe has to catch it there on the exit of that particular corner. But he manages to keep it running. That will cost him a tenth or two, perhaps, when all is said and done. His line wasn't so great, and he has a slight twitch of the rear, trying to catch it on the exit of that what was turn number 9. Into the hairpin comes Van Kobe. What will his line be looking like now? It was all the way down to gear 2 through the exit of turn 10, the hairpin. Van Kobe looking to stake their claim among the top runners. 111.018 is the benchmark, courtesy of Grimjaw. What can Django of Sun Hashira do in response? Van Kobe keeps it on track, keeps the lap valid as he sends it screaming towards the line. For Williams, Van Kobe crosses the line with the 8th quickest time. It's a 112.043. His teammate Seppo Temba will have to contend with a P14 start minimum. Of course, the 86er has joined the fray just in time to be able to set a proper representative lap of their own. Van Kobe, 8th quickest, as things currently stand. So it's Grimjaw from Smirch Django, Sun Hashira. Those are your top 3. Tapiso, looking decent with the 4th quickest time today. Man Ray, 5th quickest. Debo Crocodile, 6th. Tabo T92, 7th. Coming back into the pits. Van Kobe has just set their initial push lap. Here comes Mandla, 9th quickest, coming back into the pits. Loveness is already there. Sage Figure's speech with the 12th quickest time behind Tindo, who has also retired from this session. Sage Figure's speech and the 86er currently in 12th and 13th. This man, of course, only just having joined the lobby, will have to give it a proper push with just over 4.5 minutes of the session to go. The 86er is back on track, back to stake their claim to be among the points when all is said and done. The 86er has collected 17 points since the start of the season, courtesy of a 7th place finish in China. He came across the line 10th in Saudi Arabia with the 86er, and a P5 finish in Baku. Missed the race in Qatar and Spain for work commitments, among other things, but here he is now, committed to, starting his push lap with just under 4 minutes of this session to go. Sun Hashra will be first among the top runners to give it another push towards the end of this session. Before we jump over to Sun Hashra, we will hop on board with the 86er to see how he navigates this circuit here in Montreal. Heavy curve through turn 1, wide of the apex through 2. So perhaps having to completely catch himself there. Going into turn 2. First chicane navigated fairly okay. 20.252 split at the end of sector 1 for the 86er. Red Bull driver takes a little bit of curve through those chicanes that we've just seen. There's a slow moving McLaren, it looked like, which made way in time. Turns 8 and 9 for the 86er sees him coming very close to the wall on the exit of that particular chicane. 43.195 is the split as he approaches, the hairpin of turn 10, and he makes contact, makes acquaintance with the wall as the 86er. Thankfully for him, that wing is still intact, still sending it screaming down towards the final chicane. It's the 86er with a Hail Mary as far as his push lap attempts are gone. And did he take too much contact there with the wall? It does not matter because he kept it running to come across the line with a 112.777. And that is the 86ers attempt. Meanwhile, Sun Hashra is on the verge. Oh no, Sun Hashra has invalidated, and now he's got about 2 minutes to go around completely. As you can see, he's happy just to take all the liberties as far as track limits are concerned. Let's hop on board with Smirch Django, who is oh so close to the benchmark, that Grimjaw set. He knows what he has to do. It has to be faultless. It has to be inch perfect. It has to be without incident. And he finds almost 2.5 tenths worth of improvement come the end of sector 1. So as it stands, if he keeps it clean and keeps it together, and who knows, even finds even more margin, then we could be looking at the pole-setting lap. Takes all the liberties as far as toying with track limits are concerned. Here comes Smirch Django now, who's found more than half a second worth of improvement come the end of the second sector. Looking absolutely sensational is Smirch Django as he passes the slow-moving Grimjaw, who is only now making their way towards the final chicane. Django for McLaren, for his own championship prospects. The man who is now P2 in the new Luca Championship, courtesy of Mercurial Teaser leaving, is on the verge of something spectacular. And it's a 112.544 to set the provisional pole time here in Canada. Smirch Django now leads the prospects from Grimjaw, and Sun Hashra is now giving it another go. He's managed to find about almost 0.4 of a second here come the end of their first sector, but come the end of sector 2, it is 0.6 of a second. So Smirch Django may yet be putting on an absolute show here and giving us what could be the most emphatic answer come the end of his push lap. But I tell you what, even though it is the 0.6, he might breach into the 1/10, but not enough possibly to dislodge Smirch Django. But still, he came through the final chicane unscathed. It's Sun Hashra across the line, and there you have it. It's a 110.908. Smirch Django was still the benchmark, still the standard. But what can Grimjaw do come the end of this lap? Ban Kobe has retired now out of this session, joining the likes of Teppo Temba, Zotal, and Tindo, who had already retired. Manray becomes the latest to do so. Provisional P5 would be a very good day for him and for Team Haas. Here comes Grimjaw now towards the line. Sector 3 looking to be completed by the debutante Mercedes driver. What can you do? It is all the pressure into the final chicane. Oh, did he make a little bit of contact with the wall? Here he comes now, screaming towards the line. for the pride of Mercedes. It's a 110.117, and Grimjaw on debut is the quickest driver in Canada. Snatches pole position at the death. Well, how was that for qualification? Grimjaw will start the Canadian GP in pole position. Yes, it is a short quali. I see some questions being asked. Grimjaw with the quickest time. Debo Crocodile sadly had invalidated their push lap. The 86er, similar case for him. It's going to be Grimjaw and Smirch Django on the front row. Sun Hashira Tepiso occupying that second row. Man Ray and Debo Crocodile in the third in P5 and 6 respectively. Tabo T92 will start in P7. Ban Kobe in 8th. Mandla Romeo in P9. Loveness will start in 10th. The 86er will start P11. Tindo P12. Sid's Figure of Speech will start 13th. Tepo Temba Zotao rounding off your starting grid come the start of this race, 14 and 15 respectively. It could have been so much more for Zotal were it not for that incident blocking the pit lane, which saw him getting disqualified, sadly. There it is, folks. Those are the levels. That is the standard that Grimjaw has set. 4.2 tenths ahead of Smirch Django. Sun Hashira about 8 tenths, almost 8 tenths off the mark. And then we have the drivers 1 second and beyond. Tepiso, who was fourth quickest, 1.6 seconds behind the pole sitter. And then we have the likes of Man Ray, Debo, Crocodile following on closely behind. 3 sets of tires used for Grimjaw to set that blistering pace. Similar number for the likes of Tepiso and Man Ray. We also see Tabo T92 and Tindo using 3 sets of tires. It's a case of what could have been for Zotal down at the bottom, at the back of the pack, back of the standings, having used 2 sets of tires. As you've mentioned, it's an unforgiving track. We saw how many invalidations in qualifying only. So in the race, that invalidation will, of course, turn into a track limit warning. And, well, the circuit is unforgiving. They do pile up to these warnings. So it is not easy as we are about to get this race going. As you can see here, it's an overcast day. I do wonder if the rain will play its part before all is said and done here. If you've just joined us, thank you for choosing BrakeAway Racing League. Welcome to our 6th race of our top tier season. Welcome to Montreal. Looking forward to a fantastic season. Don Rabico says Grimjaw is on the wheel, but he's currently on a controller. Ah, man, we've really seen these drivers on controller do the most. 5 lights, the only time South Africans look forward to the lights going out. We are racing in Canada. It is Grimjaw versus Django in the run towards turn number 1. Grimjaw holds the inside line. Grimjaw hangs on to the lead. Sun Hashira still in that P3 spot. Tepiso hoping to chase Ban Kobe and moves all the way up to P5. But there's a car which is turned. It is Sun Hashira who might have made contact with the chasing pack. Ban Kobe, who was being very, very aggressive, already got that time penalty over here. And let's take a look at the position changes. Seppo Temba, 10 places gained, taking advantage of the carnage. Oh, there's contact between, it looks like Ban Kobe and Loveness. Ban Kobe has lost the wing. Ban Kobe is going to be tumbling down the order, similar to what we saw with the likes of Sun Hashira. Tabo T92, also one of the biggest drivers to lose 7 positions alongside Debo Crocodile. So it's a nightmare start as far as they're concerned. Sun Hashra all the way at the back will be driving at this particular point in anger at the way that his race start has gone. Zotal, under the virtual safety car, has moved up 6 places. So one of the biggest movers, taking advantage of the chaos, the carnage, the contact between the likes of Don Rabico et al. C-Clay predicting an easy Grimjaw win. Well, time will tell. 35 laps around Canada is certainly a lot that may yet happen. When will the virtual safety car come to an end? Time will tell. We now have the first of our drivers to come into the pit, and they are Tepiso and Ban Kobe. And Sun Hashra, I do wonder if he took enough damage to come in. The answer is no. We're back into racing conditions, and as we do so, Grimjaw has already eked out a 1.1 second advantage to this man. As you can see, the top two really, playing in a league of their own as far as pace is concerned. Tempo Temba in P3 already 5.2 seconds behind the leading pair. Being hunted down by Loveness and Mandla, who has had a great day here, gaining 4 places since the start of this race. Behind Mandla is Tindo, who's trying to hang on to the coattails of the Haas driver. On board we go with Zotal, who goes side by side, wheel to wheel with Tindo, and it's too much pace, too much sauce that the Ferrari driver has. Tindo tries to hug the inside of the hairpin, but despite that, Zotal is now up to P6 and driving a hell of a recovery race. It's been 9 places gained for Zotal as they now send it screaming towards the final chicane. It's Zotal hunting down Mandla, who is hunting down Loveness. Ahead of him, of course, is Temba, who comes into the pits at an early stage as well. So it's a nightmare day for Williams, who will have to fight as a team from the back of the pack. Temba having just come in. Oh, such figure of speech on the inside of, it looked like Tindo. So Tindo really getting overtaken one after the other by a whole host of drivers here. And he may yet come into the clutches of Man Ray behind. Such figure of speech gets that move done on the Alpine. Now up to P6 as we get that sweeping helicopter shot. Tindo trying to stay in touch, within touching distance of the Red Bull ahead. Behind Tindo, it's a DRS chain. Man Ray, Debo Crocodile, and Sun Hashra are the chasing pair over there. Let's take a look at the tire situation. All of the top 3 opted to start this race on a set of hard compound tires, going long initially here. I do wonder if that is an early portent of signs to come as far as the possible change of weather is concerned. We see some smoke billowing off the back of the tires of Stitch Figure of Speech as Tindo tried to take advantage, but despite that, he was not close enough to do anything significant there. This is the view as far as Sun Hashra is concerned. Oh, there's an overtake. Debo Crocodile on the inside of Man Ray. Debo Crocodile into the final chicane has got that move done. Softer tires. Here comes Sun Hashra on the attack. Possibly a double overtake. He's overtaken Man Ray, and he's attacking Debo Crocodile. Sun Hashra, will they bang wheels? They almost do. Debo Crocodile gave just enough room for Sun Hashra to slip through there, and the Alfa Romeo driver now up to P8 in a recovery drive, driving in anger, but trying to keep as much momentum as he possibly can. Tindo is the first driver to earn a 3-second time penalty for track limit incursions. Lap 4 of a total 35. It's going to be a long day, a long race for Tindo to avoid all those track limit warnings between now and the end of the race. This is the onboard view of Galila Sang, the 86er, hunting down Man Ray for that P10 spot. It's the hunt for point positions early on here in this race. These are turns 8 and 9. Oh no, contact between the Haas, and even the 86er gets mired in that huge moment. Oh no, they've all lost wings. They've all lost momentum. Man Ray, the 86er, Debo Crocodile, and the Aston Martin driver came off second best. Man Ray late braking there, and we can expect perhaps all of these drivers to come into the pits, and it's another virtual safety car. Wingless Haas, a wingless Red Bull, and what about Debo Crocodile? He might have just taken significant damage to the side pods there, which will have a downforce disadvantage, I beg your pardon, before all is said and done. Of course, you can't change a side pod here in the race proper, but Debo Crocodile, thankfully, he will feel that gaining those 2 places will be, well, little consolation if he's taken damage. to those side pods, but we'll now hope to recover. So carnage, contact, and all sorts of ramifications with 5 laps gone. It's Grimjaw in control, in command of this race. All he needs to do is drive a clean, incident-free race between now and the end of proceedings. We've had 2 virtual safety cars already, and as you can see, it's a time penalty shootout throughout this grid. Grimjaw from Smirch Django, that gap is now 2 seconds. Further 8.6 seconds behind is Loveness. AlphaTauri looking very, very good here today. D-Wax somewhere in South Africa cheering on their teammate. Loveness 8.6 seconds behind. Mandla, what a day this would be for them. Remember, his best result of this season, Romeo, was last time out in Spain where he came across the line P7 to collect the first point of the season. If you can hang on to this P4 spot, what a day that would be. What a result as far as his championship prospects are concerned. Zotal now running in P5. It could have been so much more for Zotal, as you would remember, was disqualified in the qualifying session for blocking the pit lane, and finds himself now in a hell of a recovery drive in P5. Seppo Temba sets the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 13.7 for the Williams driver, as we see Zotal inching ever so closer to the back of Mandla. On board we go with Zotal. He goes onto the inside, and Mandla has no answer to the Ferrari's pace, makes way there, and Zotal snakes across the chicane now and looks towards hunting down Loveness, but is Mandla fighting back over here as they now make their way towards the hairpin of turn 10. It's a slight lockup there for the Haas, but that gap now between these two is now about 0.6 of a second. Behind them is Tindo and Sun Hashira. The Alfa Romeo driver on a recovery drive of his own now will feel he might have the jump on Tindo. Opted not to stay tucked into the slipstream there. Tindo comes into the pits. Sun Hashira, well, it's going to be an uncontested P6. As Tindo comes into the pits after only 5 laps, perhaps taking too much wing damage. Perhaps Tindo made too much contact off camera with the walls there. Unforgiving circuit, of course, if you do make mistakes in the race itself. Mandla still managing to stay within touching distance of the Ferrari ahead. Still within DRS ahead of the Ferrari is Loveness already. Falling further and further behind. Oh, Zotal did not have the cleanest of exits there through, I believe, that was the chicane of turns 5 and 6. This is 8 and 9, however. Oh, no. Mandla losing a little bit of ground there. And Crowley says Zotal wants to be front of the front action as Zotal went way wider compared to the chasing Haas behind. And we're going to see whether or not Mandla can take advantage of this slipstream and DRS in the run towards the final chicane, turns 13 and 14. Behind them, of course, comes the on-rushing Sun Hashira, who's got the pace around here, as we saw in qualifying. But time will tell if Sun Hashira can stake their claim towards this fight effectively, possibly for P3, if they can catch up once again to Loveness. Mandla enjoying himself here in Canada. Catching up with the comments, Zotal wants to be part of the front action. Oh, the 86er is the latest driver to rack up a 3-second time penalty. Track limit incursions, as you can see, it's 3 seconds each for Tabo T92, the 86er, and Tindo. And Van Kobe, that moment of contact perhaps, which saw that early carnage in lap 1, sees him with a 5-second time penalty. 8 laps gone. Mandla versus Zotal, a battle that has been raging on for a couple of laps now, but it is advantage Zotal. He's on the brink of breaking out of that potential DRS danger that Mandla currently holds. And Crowley says this matter of cars not ghosting when they lose control is a problem. And Crowley possibly remarking on the incident that we saw with the Debo Crocodile. Van Kobe has retired out of this race. Was having a nightmare, penalty-ridden nightmare. And Van Kobe is the first casualty, bringing out the full safety car with 8 laps of 35 gone. Well, 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 what does that do for the context of this race? Smirch Jangle and Grimjaw had kept their pace very consistent, was hovering at about 1.7 seconds, the gap between those two. And as you can see, they had opted to start on the hard compound tires, so they were opting to go long anyway. Will this force them to rethink their strategy, or will these two feel comfortable enough as far as their own pace, knowing that they've already eked out a 14-second advantage to the chasing field? Grimjaw, Smirch Jangle were your top two. Loveness in that P3 spot. Also on the hard tires, Zotile, who was being chased by Mandla for most of the recent laps. Those two, P4 and 5, Debo Crocodile, all the way down in P6 now, as the leading Grimjaw opts to come into the pits earlier than he would have wanted. Fits those new medium tires. Django did not follow suit. He'll be happy with his prospects. Still in that P1. Grimjaw coming into the pits. What will that mean for his prospects? Will he come out ahead or behind Loveness? And that's Grimjaw who makes it out of the pits ahead of Loveness, but ever so briefly. So that pit stop did not cost Grimjaw one iota. Loveness still P3. Zotile opting not to come into the pits. P4 for him. Mandla, 5th. Also did not pit early on. Still on those mediums, as is Debo Crocodile. So only Grimjaw. Rolling the dice here is very, very interesting. Sun Hashira. 1 lap old mediums. So he's going to be a huge danger prospect when this race gets restarted. Currently P8, Sage Figure of Speech is still on those same hard tires. P9 for him. We'll be glad that the pack will be getting bunched up behind the safety car here as we look to restart the race proper. Tefiso, currently 10th, 8 lap old hards. Had to come into the pits, of course, much earlier than he would have wanted. So we'll see how his race fares. Man Ray also had to come into the pits before the safety car. Tindo, who's just exited the pits, has gone very, very aggressive here. Tindo has effectively consigned himself to yet another pit stop before all is said and done here, opting to go on a set of soft tires. Not looking very comfortable compared to a lot of these drivers that we've seen here today. We saw Tindo losing many positions in the first stint of this race. Now going to have to fight his way up the grid from P12, Tabo T92, the 86er, rounding off your field, both of whom have time penalties. 3 seconds each for the drivers in the bottom 3 of the current standings. And as you can see here, folks, the drivers that currently have warnings. Tabo T92, track limit warnings, Sage Figure of Speech as well. And, well, Loveness, Sun Hashira, Zotile, Mandla have warnings. Tindo as well, and we do see another one for Sun Hashira. So a couple of these drivers are on the brink as far as track limit warnings are concerned. So before all is said and done here, I think we can expect these drivers to be all right. I've got myself into a bit of an incident here. How on earth do I get out of this menu? All right, folks, if you guys have any idea of how on earth I get out of this view, it's not allowing me to go back via the usual circle button. I'm stuck here, folks. Just trying to clear this view. This is a game I don't want to play again as far as going into this. Oh no! Billy Hendricks says I'm glitched. I'm not going to be able to get out. Oh my gosh, folks. All right, folks. One second. We'll be right back, hopefully before the safety car comes back in.